Alan, give us your from the top review of episode 5 of The Adventures of Young Leia. Oh, sorry, I got that wrong. Sorry, Obi-Wan Kenobi episode 5.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this is definitely the best episode of the series so far. And, it makes me glad that there's only one more left. And my feeling is I think to really save the series, this last episode 6, needs to be kind of the all musical episode. And it's about, Riva. I've confirmed it. It's Riva. It's just about her change and her journey back to the to becoming a Jedi, and do it all in musical form, kind of have a ballet between her and Darth Vader at the end. And I think we can finally save Kenobi. But apart from that, the feeling I got with this one was, part of me wishes that they had kind of wrote this episode first and kind of built the series around it. I feel like there's everything leading up to this really didn't do a good job to bring any real impact to it. The fight between Anakin and Obi-Wan, it was clearly it's the best lightsaber battle you've seen in a long time. And it's the best action scene of this series so far. But the outcome of it is more like, well, this is the lesson of today's episode, as opposed to having some kind of big impact on it. Also, I feel like Riva has been mishandled up until this point. We speculated that she was one of the younglings, and now it's confirmed that she is, but I don't care. It's like there's been nothing really to endear us to this character to make that revelation feel like it means something. And then with what happens between her and Darth Vader, it's like, wow, that comes out of the blue, and I'm still unclear as to her motivations for this. Why did she go through all the trouble she did at this point to get to the point where she does what she does with Vader? I don't understand why she did it, her motivations, or whether I should feel sympathy for her final outcome from that. And it's just, again, I'm harping on it over and over, week after week. Whoever Joby Howard is, he needs to take a screenwriting class. He needs to study stories of the past. He needs to understand what makes a good story, and then follow that example, and then bring his own special twist to it, and then bring the Star Wars twist to it. But I call this bad wrestling. Bad wrestling is where you take two characters, put them in the ring, have them fight, and hope that we feel some emotion for one character or the other. Good wrestling is where you build up a character. You gain sympathy for that character. Things happen to that character. The character strives for something. And when he or she tries to attain her ultimate goal and is set back, we as an audience endear ourselves to that character. We want to follow that character. We are invested in that character's final outcome. And, and that's just not happening. What the hell is going on with Obi-Wan, by the way? I still don't understand. He starts off broken, and I don't see much growth in this guy other than the fact that he's thrown into action and is forced to fight. That's not a character arc at all. So regarding episode 5, best episode, has the lightsaber battle between Anakin and Obi-Wan is great. A lot of good action in it. I like the fact that there's more people on set, but we're still going on with the inherent problems of this series, and that's its storytelling.
Yeah, I mean, look, there are a lot of weaknesses with this show, and I would say that the script is the paramount weakness. Mm-hmm. The fact that the show looks cheap. But let's start right from the beginning. There's a trigger warning at the beginning of this show. Okay, this just tells me how dumb mm-hmm. that we've become. Is that we need that. It's like, look, it's Star Wars. There are lightsabers and blasters, and characters die and get limbs chopped off. If you have not seen any previous Star Wars, know this going in. I don't think there's anything in this episode that was any more intense than the best of Star Wars. But it just, my complaints are all the same, but mm-hmm. this episode was I would say the best of the series, and a series where everything has been a colossal disappointment. And I will give it credit. At least something happened in this episode, right? You have Reva's turn, but it's so like we all saw that all coming. It was so telegraphed. This is the problem with this is it's so simple-minded, and it's just very much there are no surprises in this show, you know. And I'd heard some spoilers or rumors of spoilers, and a lot of those have come to light, but like it just bothered me how simple-minded this story was.
Well,
right?
You know, we joke about Wade, the fact that we see him for a second and he dies, and they put all this emotion behind his death, and they haven't earned Wade's death, and for us to invest in that, and they just assume that if we kill someone on screen, we're automatically gonna feel sympathy for them.
Or Tala, who dies in this episode, right? Yeah. You know, and Leia asks, "Where's Tala?" And then Obi-Wan, apparently when you have to have difficult conversations, you can't. I don't know. It just, and of course we know that Bail Organa's message is going to come back to, which, what an idiot, you know. He's like, look, Obi-Wan ghosted Bail because he's on a mission in which they both decided that they would be silent, but now Bail Organa is saying your silence concerns me. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. But now you just.
Well, it's clearly he's writing the script, each episode individually of the others, you know, and so he doesn't have any idea of how to carry plot lines and stories that he wrote into future episodes.
It would have been more interesting if they killed Bail Organa or Leia's adopted mother. If they had murdered them in some way, the Inquisitors came after them and murdered them, that would have been interesting because it would have been unexpected. Most people assume that Bail Organa died when Alderaan blew up in episode 4 of the original trilogy. Maybe we learned that that's not true, that they were dispensed with early, and that maybe, you know what that did? Maybe that radicalized Leia. Maybe Leia was just living a kid life and didn't really, and is just kind of and then, you know, this experience radicalizes her. I don't know. Again, the entire show is filled with missed opportunities. But I will say this episode convinced me I'd rather be watching a different show. And that show is called Darth Vader. Because the scene where Vader actually gets to do Vader things, you know, even though the effects were pretty cheap, and I thought that like it was very clear, and we have to give much appreciation to the people who taught Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor. They deserve way more credit. They deserve way more credit for staging that, right? Because when you look at it, the Vader fight with, you know, one with the ship and then with Reva, like it was like, okay, the stuff that's happening is pretty cool. Vader gets her lightsaber, breaks it in half, tosses her the other half. Like that stuff was like, hey, this is cool Vader stuff. He's kind of taunting her, but the way it was shot seemed cheap, and I'll tell you why. The way it was shot was like it was a play. It was like Vader's here and she's here, and they go this way, and then they go this way, then they go this way, and then they go that way, and they go this way. Yeah. So it feels very flat. There's no dynamism. There's no, she's going over here down a tunnel. There's this. Look at the lightsaber duel between Luke and Darth Vader in The Empire Strikes Back. Freaking frightening, some stuff from that. Like, you know, when you're over a chasm, there was just, again, the environment matters, you know, like in episode 1, the duel with, you know, Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan and Darth Maul, one of the best duels ever in Star Wars. And I'll just say 949 currently watching. Slap that like button, subscribe to the channel if you don't already subscribe, and thank you for that. This is the most people we've ever had watching our channel on a live stream. So thank you for taking time out of your afternoon to talk to us. But that kind of thing matters because it gives you an opportunity to create a dynamic sequence, right? The things that were happening were like, this is cool. They're just in a green screen backdrop. And it was shot in a way that was very pedestrian, very much what some might call a journeyman director. You know, just someone who just like, I'm just going to go through the script and just shoot what's in the script. I'm not going to get super dynamic with shots and this and reaction and like, you know, use of close-ups even. It just seemed like there was something about it like, oh, wow, cool, Darth Vader's doing something. I wish this was just shot in a way like it was an action sequence, but it's shot in a way that it's like a very basic television show. Go back and rewatch that part. It's very flat, right? Now this sets up, there's only one episode left of the show. We can already see where it's going. They end with, you know, we see Luke. We're finally going to get to Luke. So we're going to see Leia's going to be dropped off with Obi-Wan Nanny Kenobi. He's a nanny now. Okay. So he's going to end his service as a nanny. It's $13 an hour. Bail Organa is going to thank him. He's going to go back to Tatooine, and there'll be a confrontation with Reva. We kind of see where that's going. But here's another thing. While I do like the Grand Inquisitor coming back, does anyone die from a lightsaber to the chest? Apparently only Han Solo in The Force Awakens died from a lightsaber to the chest. That to me, and I watched it twice. I'm like, does Reva, like, it's right in the heart, unless she's a different species, right? Or unless Rey was there to heal, like Rey did with Kylo Ren. You know, I try to forget that.
Yeah. You know, at the same time, did he really die? This is the thing that's going to frustrate me. Did she really die? I don't think there's any, you know, it's just my fear that she will show up and take out Darth Vader once and for all in the last episode, which could possibly realistically happen.
Well, I just like, again, back to my comment about year and things like ladder. Like, the other thing that I miss in Star Wars is subtitles being used, right? Like those kinds of things actually I think are important. Like,
you mean using subtitles or not using subtitles? No,
like an alien language, and then, you know, you see subtitles. So this is an example for everyone watching. Like, just bear with me. This is like less than a minute.
So cool up here in the balcony.
Totally. Hey, what's this about this movie being in another language?
Yeah, you have to read what they're saying?
Sounds pretty weird. I'm gonna go get some popcorn.
Okay.
Excuse me, sorry. You are precious.
Subtitles. They're not just un-American. They kill.
Okay, we haven't shown that video in a while, but my point is what I loved about Star Wars is you would hear alien languages and they would subtitle things, and it felt otherworldly. In addition to things like language or common items having slightly different names for things like hydrospanner, that attention to detail does matter. So I wanted to, you know, in addition to no star wipes, still no star wipes. I don't know why. It's a short list of things you could do that won't exactly cost you a lot of money, right? Subtitles of aliens, or the namings of things, like really going through that script with a fine tooth comb and looking for opportunities to make it build a little bit of this world or pieces of the world we haven't seen. And in addition, the star wipes, which is a Star Wars trope. Those kinds of things are really important. And over 1,000 now. We're over the 1,000 mark. Thank you.
Thank you.
Most people we've ever had watching one of our live streams. So thank you for that. But let's continue with this, Alan. Han Solo being able to be murdered with a lightsaber to the chest Okay, but now we've had 2 characters in this series receive a lightsaber to the chest and live without any explanation. Now, the Grand Inquisitor, maybe you could say he's a different, it didn't hit any, serious organs because he's of a different alien race. That's fine. But Reva, it was right in the heart. I'm going to assume she's human unless we hear otherwise. But so she's alive now, and it's all going to end on Tatooine at, Owen Lar's ranch. This is where it's going. What are your thoughts on a lot of the things that I brought up?
Yeah.
By the way, we're gonna get to everyone in the chat here with your comments on a lot of the things that we've said. But Alan, what is?
Yeah, I'll comment on a few things. One is they did use subtitles when Obi-Wan was talking to the Jawa in the first episode.
Okay, true. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is where things start breaking down, because I did go back and watch the first few episodes, and there's a part where Reva says, the Jedis have let you down. This is to all the people of Tatooine, and if I remember right, I don't think the Jedis were ever really on Tatooine. It was one of those outlying planets that really didn't know who Jedis were and didn't really care about. I don't think they had ever a sense that the Jedis were there to protect them, especially when they were being ruled by the Hutts at that time. And so again, it just goes back to the fact that the writer of this series doesn't understand the vastness of historical Star Wars lore, and certainly no one in the Dave Filoni wasn't there to tell him. It's just I'm just flummoxed that this is Kenobi. Of all the series of this whole Disney Plus Star Wars thing, that this is the one that they're screwing up the biggest, and it should be the one that they should have spent the most time, the most energy, the most resources to get right, to put extra money into it, more than you would have with the Mandalorian. And it's just beyond me how everyone involved, even Ewan McGregor, seems to find this a much more pleasurable experience than the prequels.
Well, look, on the plus side, this convinces me that a Darth Vader series hunting Jedi would be pretty cool. Mm-hmm. It would be pretty cool if there was more attention paid to the actual action. Yeah, and I think that I like the things that Vader was doing. It's like, this is cool. Could you shoot it in a way that would make it dynamic or even dramatic, or even just not so flat looking? It looked like it was just like a side scroller video game, or like Street Fighter 2. It's like Reva on one side, Vader on the other. It just felt flat. If you rewatch that sequence, you'll notice it now that I've pointed it out. It just seemed like, okay, there's a better way to shoot all of this. Mm-hmm. To me. So
yeah, I will say the wipes and the opening crawl, those were specifically taken out by Lucasfilm to distinguish it from the television or the films. And we could definitely debate whether that was a wise idea or not. And I think if it wasn't, it could have really used that.
Yeah, well,
and these are supposed to, the wipes and everything were supposed to mimic the serial films of the past, the serial westerns of the past, which is essentially what these are. These are serial episodes of a large story. And so why you would get rid of that element, you know what I'm saying?
Look, there was a guy, in fact, I just want to tell people who may have not seen one of our live streams. On the last live stream, we posted links to, and maybe you can throw it in the chat, Flaccid Phoenix. Flaccid Phoenix doing an amazing job modding with us today. We appreciate his YouTube channel. Go subscribe to Flaccid Phoenix's channel. I'll get to the chats in just a second, Alan.
Yeah, no, these are jumping on me when I hit the star. So
there's a fan cut of episode 1, 2, and 3 where all the editor did was add star wipes and then actually kind of cut down some of the stuff that was sort of overtly stupid, and they're much better. I do think that it's possible for a fan to take these 6 episodes, whatever the running time ends up being. It's going to be probably 4 hours ish. It's not going to be 6 hours, but between 4 and 5 hours. You could cut that down into 2 hours of of good stuff. I will say this, that the like, if they had kicked off the series with an episode like this, I would have been way more interested. Seeing Hayden Christensen, and yes, they didn't de-age him, but actually Hayden Christensen looks pretty good to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought he looked good. I'm sure he had makeup and, but he looked really good in that scene. Although that scene was there were so many things about the show that I thought like this was like a template for a script for tons of movies we've seen before, and we've heard these lines before. How long will it take you to fix it? 3 to 4 hours. You've got 1 hour. Like, haven't we heard these? You heard what he said. Like, these are all lines from other shows.
Yeah, these are lines from. These are what amateur writers. This is how they write. People who want to become writers. That's what they write, and that's the problem, is they don't have a veteran writer behind this at all. Pete, we mentioned Pete Docter being a part of this, or Andrew Stanton being a part of this. I kind of feel like the episode is a little bit elevated, but definitely there wasn't any change in the dialogue at all.
Right. Let's get to these super chats, and we'll get to your comment questions, and we'll also continue to talk about the show. We have at 3 p.m. Pacific time, we've got the director of Turbo Cola is going to be joining us to talk about his indie movie, which is out on digital, I think, this week.
Yeah.
It's
Hey,
we'll talk about
I want to talk about the lightsaber battle real quick. The whole point of that lightsaber battle between Anakin and Obi-Wan was to show that Anakin gets overconfident and he loses the fight because of that. And then what does Darth Vader now do now that he learned his lesson from the past? Well, he makes the exact same mistakes. And that right there is bad writing. There should have been some growth there at some point.